This video is sponsored by ASUS ROG. Alright, so I guess ASUS ROG heard my plans for next year, focusing on PC builds and desk setups, but I didn't think it would be this early. But yeah, in today's video, we're going to do a full ASUS ROG AMD PC build, featuring the bang-for-the-buck AMD Ryzen 7 5800X processor, ASUS ROG's premium X570 motherboard in the form of the ROG Crosshair 8 Dark Hero, and the ROG Strix RX 6700 XT graphics card for a powerful 1440p gaming PC. This is probably the best looking and performing PC build that I did on this channel, even better than my current gaming PC, and as you can tell, it is absolutely gorgeous. With that being said, let's get into it. Alright, so before we start building, let me just share with you a rundown of some of the key components for this build. Starting with the motherboard, what we have here is the premium X570 ROG Crosshair 8 Dark Hero, and we chose this because of all the features it has to offer, from the stealthy aesthetics, great build quality with passive chipset cooling, ample amount of headers and input and output ports, down to the actual performance and reliability with upgraded power delivery. The ROG Crosshair 8 Dark Hero is built for overclockers and extreme gamers, so this is more than substantial for this build and something that you can use down the line for future upgrades. Speaking of future upgrades, for now, we'll settle for the bang-for-the-buck AMD Ryzen 7 5800X, which has 8 cores and 16 threads. I also used the same processor on my previous build, which by the way you can watch here because of its good price to performance ratio. And since we're building an all ASUS ROG system, we're going to use the ROG Strix LC2 280 ARGB AIO, which to be honest is more than enough to cool the AMD Ryzen 7 5800X, while also offering some style points with highly customizable addressable RGB lighting on both the radiator fans and on the pump. Now, aside from aesthetics, we're also aiming for a decent 1440p gaming machine, so we're going to partner the AMD Ryzen 7 5800X with an ROG Strix RX 6700 XT graphics card. Now, regardless of the model name, ROG Strix graphics cards have always been my go-to simply because of the tried and tested cooling design and performance. Not to mention, this one already has the improved eggshell tech fan design with more fan blades and rotation scheme than previous models. It also has reinforced build quality with premium Super Alloy 2 components for a longer lifespan and higher overclocking potential if you're into that. I've used like a couple of ROG Strix graphics cards on almost all my personal builds and I haven't experienced any issues at all. And for an extra style point, we're gonna mount the ROG Strix RX 6700 XT vertically using this Bixby vertical bracket. Now for the memory, we're going to use 4GB of Team Group Extreme 3200 MHz RAM kit for a total of 32GB, which is what I recommend for content creators, streamers, and multitaskers like myself. I was using 16GB before, and honestly, that wasn't enough. However, it could have been better if this is only 2 sticks of 16GB module and at least 3600 MHz so that we still have some room left for future upgrades. But this is what we currently have and is still fairly substantial. Now for storage solution, we have a 1TB XPG GameX S70 Blade NVMe, which I also did a review before that you can watch here. This is an extremely fast Gen 4 NVMe SSD, so we should expect our system to boot in no time and applications to open in a breeze. Oh, by the way, since we're doing an aesthetically pleasing build, we're also going to add this cool XPG Prime ARGB 24-pin extension cable alongside some magnetic LED strip around our chassis. This should look absolutely awesome later. Speaking of chassis, we're going to use the ASUS ROG certified Lianli O11 Dynamic XL, which is quite gorgeous and brings attention to every PC component inside, making it the perfect chassis for this build. And of course, we're also going to use tons of Lianli Unifan SL ARGB case fans for more seamless integration. The power supply that we're going to use in this build is an 80+ Gold fully modular InWin PL850W that I have here in the studio. Alright guys, with all the components introduction out of the way, let's cue the build montage. Enjoy! And there you have it guys, building inside the Lian O11 Dynamic is fairly easy because of the combination of its toolless design and overall ease of use features and cable management space. I feel like all the components look absolutely beautiful by themselves, but when put together, it brings in a cohesive, aesthetically pleasing look with tons of RGB lighting that is visible at any angle thanks to the glass panels of the Lian O11 Dynamic. It is also my first time tinkering with ASUS ROG Creator software, and the interface is like I'm editing a photo or video with layers and a timeline. This ultimately allowed me to customize the lighting further that I would otherwise won't have using just the Aura Sync option. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the look of this all ASUS ROG AMD PC build. Now let's finally head into our performance benchmarks, and as usual, I'll pop my benchmarking methodology so that you can have a better understanding of how I came up with these results, and like with most of our recent build videos, these are standalone benchmarks that you can compare with your system should you choose to upgrade in the future. But of course, there are a lot of things to consider, so take the results with a grain of salt. With that being said, let's get into it. Alright, so straight ahead into gaming. As you can see, at 1440p resolution, which is the target for this particular build, as expected, our ASUS ROG AMD PC build performs quite well in easy-to-drive FPS esports titles such as Valorant, Rainbow Six Siege, and CSGO, and it's safe to say that you can also take advantage of those high refresh rate 240Hz monitor like the ROG Swift PG278QM, and possibly those 300+ Hz gaming monitors out in the market if you only play competitive FPS games. However, for graphics-intensive games like GTA 5 and Cyberpunk 2077, at 1440p resolution, we're just getting some modest frame rates good enough for a casual gaming experience. If you want to have smoother gameplay on these titles, you'll have to dial down the resolution to 1080p and adjust some of the settings. Now, thermals while gaming is pretty decent for our AMD Ryzen 7 5800X thanks to the ROG Strix LC2 280 ARGB AIO, with an average temperature of just around 51 to 61 degrees and spiking only around 59 to 68 degrees. Granted, this is in an air-conditioned room because I want to be able to control the ambient temperature, but even if you bump it up for a few degrees, it still should be pretty cool. Now, thermals for our ROG Strix 6700 XT graphics card are also pretty cool, averaging only around 37 to 51 degrees and spiking only around 51 to 56 degrees. As you can see, with some decent cooling performance, we have a lot of headroom for potential overclocking if you're into that. Of course, I also did a quick video export time test in Adobe Premiere Pro 2022 using our standard 13.92 minute 4K project, and like with our previous build, also using the same processor, it's just around 8 minutes, which is relatively fast. And with an extremely fast Gen 4 NVMe SSD, scrubbing through the timeline and generating thumbnails is also pretty fast with our PC build. Speaking of fast Gen 4 NVMe SSD, here's how the 1TB XPG GameX S70 blade performs in the Crystal Disk Mark benchmark. The read speed is on par with its rated 7400 MB per second speed, but the write speed is a little bit under its rated 6800 MB per second speed, but still substantially fast by any means. Now, here's how our ASUS ROG AMD PC build performed in the Cinebench benchmarks and the popular 3D Mark benchmarks so that you can easily compare it with your system. And for good measure, here are the thermals for the AMD Ryzen 7 5800X in the CPU benchmarks, and as I pointed out earlier, the ROG Strix LC2 280 ARGB AIO does a good job controlling the thermals for this bang-for-the-buck processor. And lastly, here's how our ASUS ROG AMD PC build draws power using a dedicated wattmeter device between the outlet and the power supply. Our in-win 850 watts power supply is more than enough for this build, again giving us tons of headroom for future upgrades. And there you have it guys, this build video is not necessarily made to be followed as is, but more like a reference and to give you an idea of how a full ASUS ROG AMD PC build like this performs. Of course, you can tweak some of the components based on your budget, your preference, and target features and performance. Huge thanks to ASUS ROG for sponsoring this video and for allowing me to experience building something awesome like this. You can check the links below if you're interested to grab any of the components mentioned in this build. Thank you for watching, subscribe if you like this, and see you next time. Have a great day guys, you're awesome.